doves. She fly whisper for a lion to come up, for they keep on attacking the doves. She pray whisper for a lion to come, yeah.
Good day, boys and girls, from coast to coast and around the whole wide entire world. Welcome to the Think Champs. In this episode, we're going to be here at the Nyahbinghi House, where we are focused on more of the livity and life of Rastafari. Yes, because it is a life, and the life of Rastafari is headed by the King Creator, which is His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I. Yes, and it's really very important that I take this time to speak to you as a Rasta man, because a lot of our story as Rasta has been told by people who aren't Rasta. You know, I call them Rasta imposters, you know? Yeah, there's a lot of Rasta imposters. There's a lot of wolves in sheep clothing, better yet, wolves in lions clothing, in lions manes, you know? Because that's what we are in this time. We are lions, you know? And we're headed by the conquering lion of the tribe of Judah, which is only one supreme man on the planet, which is His Imperial Majesty, coming from the root and offspring of King David. Haile Selassie is the 225th great-grandson of King Solomon and Queen Sheba. Now, King Solomon was not just a king. He was a king of the kingdom of the Almighty, and so was his father, King David. Now, these men had sworn a vow unto the Almighty that they would not turn from it, that they would raise the seed and the fruit and the life of His throne forever upon the earth, to reign in righteousness and truth. So King David was a man who had fought a lot of battles, you know, for this kingdom. And then he had a son, which was King Solomon, who was born to actually build the temples and the throne and the scepter, right, of the Almighty. And these things were biblically done and set in creation. See, most people, when they think of the Bible, they think of it as a white man's history. But really, when you really check it for yourself, you'll realize that the Bible is the black man's history. Yeah, because all the prophets, all the priests, you know, all the black women, all the women were black. History will show you that, you know. And true, we've been taught this history from another man's perspective. We can't really see ourselves in it, you know. Just imagine that the Almighty Himself, right, who came to the earth for His children, right, would have His children suffer. But the ones that He have suffering don't look like Him, but the ones who's making them suffer looks like Him. Doesn't make sense. He comes for the sufferers, that is us. He comes for those who are in prison and bondage, that is us. He comes for the poor and needy, that is us, in creation. So, when we look at these things and really check the reality of it all, is the Almighty has always been with us. He's been closer to us than He has been to any other nation on the planet. And then when we really check our history, we'll realize that we are the mothers and fathers of creation. The whole world was taught by the Ethiopian, the original man, the original woman, you know. So when we really check our history, way before they came up with their Christianity, Christianity's been in Ethiopia for over 2,000 years. So we know that our history way outdates their history. When we really study ourselves, we realize that we spoke every language. We taught every language, right? We invented every language. when we really get deep into it. So we really have to know in these days and time what's really true from what's being false, because a lot of y'all dealing with a lot of false information and not really dealing with the truth and the facts of it all. The facts is that creation started in Ethiopia. This whole world began in Ethiopia. That was the beginning of creation, and this whole world was at once, before it was broken up, it was all connected as one, right? So this was one land mass, and on that land mass was called Ethiopia, the Abyssinia, right, which is the original name of the land and the original name of the people. Now, there's also a fact that the oldest human remains on the planet is Ethiopian, right? It is a skull bones by the name of Lucy. In Ethiopia, we call Dankanash, which is the mother of creation. So we know that our history way outdates their history. But the key is to not let you know your history. So if you don't know your history, you'll be caught on listening to someone else's story instead of knowing your story, right? So this is where we are in this day and time as Rasta. We're here to keep everything level and straight. As our flag you see is red, yellow, green. Red is for the blood, gold is for the land. Gold is for the gold that was stolen, and green is for the land. So these are our true realities and statements that we dealt with. But the lion itself represents His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie. So with the lion being on the flag, it represents the conquering, the victory, the ever-conquering lion of the tribe of Judah, never to be defeated, the victory. The victory is good over evil. That's the battle we're fighting right now. And everyone has to realize that it's not against flesh and blood right now. This thing is principalities and real high powers on creation. So we're dealing with principles. Now the principles is to do good and you shall live, right? But the wages of sin is death, right? So one way you can live and one way you can die. We have to make our choices in this day and time. Are we here to do good to live, or we want to do sins and die? So as Rasta, we choose to live. We choose to do good. That's why we have the Nyahbinghi order. For the Nyahbinghi order is based upon doing good. Let's give thanks and praise to the Most High Emperor Haile Selassie, King Rastafari, Earth rightful ruler, life giver, I God and King, the Emperor of heaven and earth. Haile Selassie, Rastafari. Yes, and I is here is the Nyahbinghi House, is the Nyahbinghi order, which is the ancient order of Melchizedek. And I give thanks in this time to walk in the order in the house of the Most High. And for here, King Rastafari. So as sons and daughters, I is here building and giving thanks and praise unto the true and living King of Zion, His Imperial Majesty. And for here, King Rastafari. Yes, sir. And escaping from the ways of Babylon. Yes, sir. So we're going to block up some scriptures. I have my brethren here, Raskara. He's going to block up about the ancient story that they don't want us to know about between the lineage of Solomon and Queen Sheba. Here they are? Selassie. King Rastafari.
Yeah, Rastafari.
Eliana.
Selassie.
Glory to word, glory to sound, glory to power. So the first chapter, the first page in the New Testament of St. Matthew, they tell you about Solomon's lineage through his pagan Amorite wife. So Solomon had 300 wives and 60 concubines. So in the New Testament, they tell you about his son that he had with the Amorite pagan wife, which was Rehoboam. And through Rehoboam, that's how they get to Jesus and Mary. But in Ethiopia, the Book of the Kings, the Kerbin of Gods, they tells you the truth. And even in this Bible, they have an excerpt that explains the truth, which they really don't want you to know. And it says here, for thousands of years, the Queen of Sheba has been romanticized in religious and secular history. Fire burn wrong. The Bible tells about her visit to King Solomon in his heyday. Soon after he had built the temple, and when his wisdom and wealth were bywords throughout the then known world, see 1 Kings verse 10. Other sources link her romantically with Solomon, fire burn Rome again, saying that by him she had a son Menelik, who founded the longest lived dynasty in the world, which ended with Emperor Haile Selassie of Ethiopia, which we know there is no end. Haile Selassie's majesty lived forever and ever. Haile Selassie. But even right there, they show you the real lineage of how the Bible and Solomon and the root of David is really through us as black people, as we the real Jews, we the real Israel. And it even shows right here how Solomon's son, through that same bloodline, Haile Selassie, is the emperor. And he's also the emperor of Ethiopia, our emperor. So he's black man's emperor, black people's emperor. So that's the word Solomon you see in Revelation time.
Would you show them the description for us, please? Show them that it is a Bible. Just raise it up and confirm it.
Oh yeah, this is a Bible. This is the Holy Bible, the Heritage version.
Right. Okay.
The Heritage Edition. So if you're looking for it out there, look up the Heritage Edition, and it even expose. It's in after the Kings. After the Kings chapter, it has the painting, the special paintings edition. And so there where you'll find an excerpt about the Queen of Sheba and their son Menelik. And the empire they was talking about is Axum in Ethiopia, where that was the New Jerusalem that he set up after he brought the Ark of the Covenant from the Old Jerusalem, from Solomon, back to Ethiopia and Axum, the New Jerusalem. And even they said it was the longest living dynasty still to this day in Ethiopia with Haile Selassie. Haile
Selassie. That's Rastafari. Give thanks for that sound. So yes, we give thanks just to be here in this Iowa as a union, you know. For I and I as Rasta is family, you know. And in this family we have a unity, how we move as brethren and sistren. In the Psalms we read, which is Psalms 133, it says, glory to word, glory to sound, glory to the Iowa, the true and living eye. Hear the eye. Selassie, King Rastafari. Behold, how good and pleasant it is for I and I as brethren and sistren to dwell together in love and unity. It is like the precious ointment upon I and I head that ran down the beard, even Aaron's beard, and went down to the skirt of his garment. It is like the precious dew of Hermon, even a dew that ascended upon the mountain of Zion. And it is there with a true and living eye, and Pahili Selassie, King Rastafari, commanded the blessing, which is life, love, and prosperity, both now, henceforth, even forever and ever. Hear the eye, Selassie, King Rastafari.
Every time.
Yes,
And I give thanks and praise for the brothers and sisters. And I'm going to read part of the scriptures from the book of Amos 9:7. Amos, chapter 9, verse 7. Simple. Chapter 9, verse 7. So the Lord is asking you a question. Are you not the children of Ethiopia unto me, O children of Israel?
Yes.
Amos 9:7.
That's Psalms 87. For his foundation is in the Highland mountains. The Most High loveth the gates of Zion more than all the dwelling places of Jacob. Glorious things have been spoken in the city of thee, O city of the Most High. I and I will make mention of Rahab and Babylon, to them that know I am not. Behold, Philistine Tyre with Ethiopia. This great king man was born there. Selassie. And I said, this and that man was born in her, but the highest of himself shall establish her. His majesty shall count when he writeth up the people, that he himself was born in her, as well as the Nyahbinghi players and singers of instruments shall be there. All thy full springs is within Ethiopia. Hear the eye. Rastafari.
Glory be to word, glory be to song, glory be to power. Blessed be the name of the Most High. Revelation 5:5. One of the elders said to I and I, do not weep. I hold the Lion of the tribe of Judah. The root of David has prevailed to open the scrolls and to loose its 7 seals. Blessed be the name of the Most High. Eli, Eli,
In a Zion night, holy Rasta love.
Nyahbinghi,
Holy Rasta love.
Rastafari,
Holy Rasta love. God stand in thee. Only the poor of God could have stand his judgment. Holy Rasta love. God stand. Only the true and living I, Emperor. Here the eye.
Selassie.
King Rastafari. Prince and princesses must trot out of Babylon. Black Ethiopians now stretch forth their hands unto the Almighty I, Emperor. Here the eye. Selassie. King Rastafari. O Haile Selassie and I, divine majesty. The Irish trot on Zion to dwell in the path of righteousness to lead I. Teach I to forgive, that I must be forgiven. Teach I love, loyalty on earth as it is in Mount Zion. And thou unto I hear Selassie the wise mind, knowledge and understanding the duty I will. The blessings unto I hear Selassie let the hungry be fed, the naked clothed, the sick nourished, the aged protected, the infants cared for, and the shelters be sheltered. I liberate I from the hands of I that I must prove fruitful in these first days. When I enemies, John Paul and his followers, the depths of the sea, and the depths of the earth, even the belly of the beast. Grant thine I a place here, Selassie, and I, a living king, man. Through the power of the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, the conquering lion of the tribe of Judah, I elected himself in light of this world. I am thy first ancient king of Iration, the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning without end, the first and forever, I tected of all human faith and rule of the universe. Hear the eyes, Rastafari, true and living I, Emperor. Hear the eyes, Rastafari, earth rightful ruler and living I, Emperor. Hear the eyes, Rastafari, bless and keep I and sanctify and I, cause the divine countenance ever to shine upon I and I. Keep I and I safe from the hands of the wicked and adversaries who fight against I and I. With brimstone and lava, earthquake, whirlwind, tornadoes and storms, and all terrible pestilence shall be the portion of their cup. For the righteous, the most I am. Hear the eyes. The loveth the righteous, and he uphold the upright. Hear the eyes. Thanks and praise to the true and living I. Hear the eyes. One perfect black love. Right? Everything is about to do good. Not just within your heart, but also within your thoughts. All right? Yeah, you have to do good within your thoughts. So that means your thoughts have to be doing good. And that's why the Think Champs is very important, because we have to be thinking before we act. We have to think before we speak, and we have to think before we do anything in creation. That's how everything is done, through thought. Thought is actually the highest form of anything, of power on this earth is the power of thought. Remember, I tell you that. So if you can think it, you can be it, it can happen. But you have to think it first. And a lot of things that's going on right now is out of order because people are not thinking. They're doing things without thinking. After the fact, you want to think about it. But it's way too late then. So as Rasta, not the imposter, as real Rasta, we are Italists, meaning we are vegans, vegetarians. Vegan is a word that just popped up the other day. I think he like 16 years old now. He might be 16, he might be about 14, 15. But definitely about 16 years old, vegan is. But Rasta Livity, Ital Livity, is from the beginning of creation. You understand? This lifestyle has been trodden with I and I now for over 100 years going on to now, right? As Rasta in a whole in creation. Because as Rasta, we really start springing up in creation in the 1930s. In the 1930s, for us as black people, was a very, very prominent time. Because in 1930, on November 2nd, His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I was crowned King of Kings and Lord of Lords, the conquering lion of the tribe of Judah. Elect of God. Yes, the elect of God. You heard of the elected president, right? Yeah, they elected president the other day, right? But who you know was elect of God? All right, good. Stay there. Because His Imperial Majesty was the elect of God, also the earth rightful ruler. So that means He has rightful ruling of the earth. No one else has that supreme power but the Almighty. Right? His Imperial Majesty was crowned, sitting on the throne of David. No ordinary throne. We going black. We got 1930. 1930, before 1930, America just came out of a depression or recession or whatever you want to call it. Right? They came out of this because of what? The system was crashed. So it was poverty and stricken on the 1930s going into the early 1929 going into 1930. So with no big money and things were going on, it was hard times. But black people was able to witness and see His Imperial Majesty crowned and sit upon the throne of David. Black people all over the world, especially here in the United States. His Imperial Majesty came here several times and spoke with the people of the black people specifically in the United States and in the Caribbean and so forth. Because wherever His people was, His Imperial Majesty made sure He went to see them. And He broke a lot of chains and a lot of bonds that was held, that was holding our people back. Because in the early 1950s, the United States was still going through slavery. You know what I'm saying? Segregation and all those things was heavy at that time. But when His Imperial Majesty came to the United States, they had to remove a lot of their segregation signs. His Imperial Majesty, when He came to New Orleans, they had to open up the hotel, the Roosevelt Hotel, for the first black man to ever walk in the door and stay in the hotel, was His Imperial Majesty. Yeah, so they had to take down their signs and hide all the wickedness they were doing to segregate the people. Why? Because His Imperial Majesty abolished slavery. He was the first one to abolish slavery in Ethiopia right after he was crowned in 1930, around 1933. So in 1933, Ethiopia already had abolished slavery, and going forward, way before any other country in the world abolished slavery. These things happen in our lifetime. But yet, does His Imperial Majesty get the recognition of us as a people? Because we know least of Him. We've been brainwashed to know what we know of Him, you know, but not knowing the truth from the Rasta perspective, you would think, oh, it's just a man. No, it's way more than a man, okay? Because the man we speaking of is the man of the root and offspring of David, which the scriptures speak of. Now here in Psalms, right, it speaks in Psalms 87. Psalms 87 in the scripture says, His foundation is in the holy mountains. The Most High loveth the gates of Zion more than all the dwelling places of Jacob. Glorious things have been spoken of city of thee, O city of the Most High. I will make mention in Rahab and Babylon to them that know I. Next verse. Behold, Philistia and Tyre with Ethiopia. Written right there. Ethiopia. This man was born there. This and that man was born in her, but the highest of himself shall establish her. The Most High shall count when He writeth up the people, that He Himself was born in her. Ask yourself, who was born in her? Who was born in this land of Ethiopia and made Himself the highest of Himself? Right? For His Imperial Majesty is elect of Himself. Right? Earth rightful ruler. Right? His name means the word of God. When you say Haile Selassie, you're really saying the power and might of the Holy Trinity. So you only need one. The one power from the Almighty Himself, which is the Trinity all in one. Haile Selassie. So we know what we're dealing with. And there's no fakery and there's no falseness, you know. And we're not taking no COVID shots. And we're not taking no vaccinations, okay? And we don't give blood. And we don't eat meat, and we don't drink wine, and we don't smoke cigarettes, all right? We don't do any form of drugs, all right? Rasta is an upful, strong-minded set people, right? Our thing is to have a sound mind, right? Because if you have a sound mind, you can have a sound body. But without a sound mind, You can never have a sound body. That's why your body too busy, because your mind ain't sound, right? So my point to say to you is that a lot of things that you've been hearing about Rasta has been misleading. Did you know most of the prophets in the Bible were Rasta too? Did you know that? Did you know Samson had 7 dreadlocks? Did you know that? Yeah, Samson had 7 locks upon his head. This is a fact. Yeah, written right there in the scriptures. Yeah. Also, then Christ himself was a dreadlock. Because every one in the Bible were Nazarenes, and they took the vow of an Israelite. Israelites couldn't shave their bosom and all them things did. So to really be a priest, you had to have precepts. Meaning, say you had to let your beard grow. You know? Way before there was razor, scissor, and comb on this earth, you had Nati dreadlock, black men and women trodden the earth. This is our original way, right? We live naturally. We didn't need these people things. We just live naturally with the Most High give us, and was thankful because we got spring water to bathe in, right? Yeah, we got enough food that we can cook and eat, trees that we can climb up and eat off of. Life was sweet. We lived off the natural things of the earth and were thankful for it because we knew where it came from, right? But right now, if you want a banana, you go to the store, right? If you want this, you go to the store. So everything you got, you need to go to the store to get it. But you're not going to the earth where it come from. Everything growing in the earth, but you ain't picking anything from the earth. Why? Because you're out of your natural state of being. Your natural state of being is a natural herbalist, a vegetarian, a farmer, a grower. If you go back 100 years from where we are in 2021 and go back to 1921, most black people knew how to farm. They knew how to deal with the land and bring food from the earth. They knew what food was good for and what it was used for. They knew these things. You understand? Because we were much more in tune with creation. This is the most dumbest down we ever been in creation. This is why I say that is because we don't deal with the natural things of creation. We disconnected from creation. So this is the most dumbest down we ever been in creation. You understand? Because we got these materialism, gadgets, and devices, which is a device, right? So vice meaning it has a hold on you. D mean down. So it's down, it's holding you down, right? Is what it's doing. But the reality is you ain't supposed to be downloaded with so much information. Because when you download anything, if I put anything way down, I'm actually weighing it down. I'm making it heavy. It's a heavy load. So you're being downloaded with all this heavy information. You have your phone stuck in your face all the while, so your head is down, watching the screen. So you're in a down energy, right? Constantly and comfortable with that. Then you want to be synced into this and synced into that. So every time you sink into something, you're sinking lower, and you're sinking lower, and you're sinking, and you're sinking, and you're sinking. You're good with that. You're good to be sinking. You like to sink. When the reality is, why would you want to drown? So we have to come off these people's devices and tune back into creation. You understand? For creation, fight against you instead of working with you. And that's what's going on right now in creation. Creation is fighting back. It's fighting back because right now, look how crazy in creation it is. People not even breathing, right? You're supposed to breathe out the carbon and taking in the oxygen, right? But now you got the mask on most of the day, all the year, right? Basically about a whole year you had the mask on, right? So check this out. So all the carbon that you were supposed to be releasing, you're taking in your system. Now the system of the clouds now is not pouring out even more carbon because now the earth is on fire. The fire is burning. The water is melting, the ice. So now the water turns into ice. The ice turns into water, and that melts and brings out more carbon into the air. And then here you are breathing in the carbon all day. So there's no real oxygen there to even get a chance to even flow, to even create more life. Everybody killing themselves and killing creation just by following the ways of man. When the Most High told you he gave you the breath of life, that's his blessing onto you, the breath of life, you know. Yeah, Yeah, scared to even breathe, scared to sneeze. So we live in a serious time where creation is going to fight against you because you're not working with it. You're working against it. You're scared to go out in the sun because it's too hot. But that's cool. So the sun said, I ain't coming out. I'll just bring some thunder clouds. Yeah, because nobody enjoying me. I'm here to create and make your melanin strong, make your energy up, but you think it's weakening you, so you don't come out, you're running from me. So that's what's going on. Creation going to have to fight against you because you're not working with it. And these are the things naturally in law. It's law of creation because right now we're living in a serious time. Like I said before, a new heaven and a new earth is being formed. And this old one is being washed and gone away because of the same ways we are in the same time as how Noah was. In the times of Noah, the Most High tell you in the scripture that these times should be in the times of Noah. And in the times of Noah, they were eating and drinking and giving to marriage and marrying one another. This is what's going on at the very same time. So the prophecy is sealing up right now. We're at the sealing point. There's the last two elements he has had to portray, and he's doing it very well. He had to inject the homosexual mind state completely in the earth. He had to get that completely out. That's done. It's out there now. He's done that. That's completed. Next stage is to get you chipped up and marked up, that you may take on this mark, that no man should be able to buy or sell. That's being done. It's being done right now. So even here in places in China, these people can't even come out their house. If they come out their house more than 3 times a day, they board and lock their doors and board them in there. Yeah, some people can't even get out. They just board the whole building. Can't get in or out for food, and food can't come in, and food can't go out. These things going on, you know. Because like I told you, take away that word COVID and put martial law, because that's what it really is. We sheltered in place and all these things here. But the reality is, they just want full control, you know, population control. So as Rasta, we're not in that box, and will not ever accept that. We want our freedom totally. Liberation for the black man, woman, and child. We stand for that. We don't need no shots. We have our own doctors. You understand? Yeah, we have our own teachers. We have our own herbalists. We have our own things that's going to heal us from the earth, because the only thing that's going to heal you is the medicine the Most High provides. And all the Most High medicine is in the earth. He said, the food shall be thy medicine, right? So we know that the food is our medicine. We can live off the natural things that the Most High provide. We don't need these artificial things that you create and say that it's good for us to eat. We don't need that. You pump all these chemicals and drugs in and preserve it and say it's good enough for us to eat. We don't need that. What we need is a return to the natural elements on earth to help us stay strong and survive. Right now, if you don't choose to eat right, and you waste your time and energy and hold on to your little money, you could die with that money, all right? Because that money will kill you, because you want to hold on to the money and you don't want to eat things that's healthy for you, right? But you can eat something that's healthy for you. It might cost you something, but it ain't going to cost you your life. Because you can take that one shot right now, or 2 shots, maybe 4, you know, how many of it take to get you up out of here, as they say, but still, you can take the 1 and 2 shots, and 6 months you won't even be on this planet no more. But you can trust in those people thinking they're doing something right from you. When the Most High said all you got to do is eat right, do right, and live. It's simple. So that's the ways of Rastafari. We have to come forward, do good, and live. Live off the natural laws of creation. Live good amongst your brother and sister. Live clean. It's a good thing to live clean. Right now we need to be cleaning up our thoughts, because a lot of the thoughts that we're thinking are very unclean. You understand? So we clean up our thoughts, we clean up our life. And a lot of us not thinking properly because we ain't thinking cleanly. So how we think cleanly? How do we think cleanly? Simply, do good. Do good and live. Because you know right from wrong. You understand? And this is a natural law of creation. So we just have to return to that and not fight against it, because if you go against it, it's going to go against you. It's just only natural. And that's really what's happening right now. You got two different type of karmas. You have a good karma and you have a bad karma. If you do good, the good karma will follow you. But if you do wrong, the bad karma is coming right for you. If that's simple enough for you. So the whole thing is, you want karma. You want to have karma, but you want the good karma. And good karma only comes from doing good. Doing good to others, being respectful to your elders and the children. A lot of y'all don't even respect the children, so you'll never see the fullness of the goodness, Because there's no way in this day and time that a grown person with sense in their head is supposed to be dancing to any of this stupidness that's being played on the radio with their child at the same time. These are just simple things, because the mind state that we got to realize, a child don't need to be polluted with all this foolishness that's going on right now. You know what I mean? You need to really take time and take that child out the world instead of pushing that child more into the world, because this thing has really gone down. And when it go down, you want to make sure their mind is free up from all of the foolishness so they can still be able to live a life and think clearly, because the system is designed right now to poison off our youth's mind, to make them accept things that they don't need to be accepting or knowing about. And so we got to shelter them. We understand ourselves and let them shelter them. For you, shelter your youth. Make sure you're teaching them the right things. Make sure they know right from wrong. You understand? Don't let the world teach your child. You have to raise a child. And that's what we got to get black to. You know what I'm saying? Raising the children up in truth and rights, and also doing good. You understand? Teaching them the ways and upful ways of thinking and living. And that's what we got to get black to, because we lost a lot of that right now. Listening to these silly rappers and rapettes, you know what I'm saying, and these actors, you know what I mean, been very, very misleading to our youth, where we don't even get to really see the fullness of our real potential as a people, because they're trying to break us down and make us look like something that we aren't. So we have to raise our conscious levels in this again, into knowing that we are a blessed, chosen people of the Almighty. We are His children. In the days we knew ourselves as brothers and sisters. Now you hear people call themselves B's and bros and all kind of other negative names, but you don't see them saying brother and sister. Because brothers and sisters was always on a growing and building level. When you get to the niggas and B level, that's on a destruction level. Because niggas and B's destroy and brothers and sisters build. So we got to get black to building again, brothers and sisters, and knowing that we are only brothers and sisters because we have one Creator, one Father, which is the Almighty, and we are His children. So His children know themselves to be brothers and sisters. The unity is more tighter, the bond is more stronger when we connect ourselves more spiritually. You understand? We're too much in the flesh right now. That's why we ignore and disrespect one another, because we're in the flesh mind state. We have to raise the level of consciousness. Women need to be wearing dresses again. You understand? It's the right thing to do. Men need to pull their pants up. Right? It's the right thing to do. Because our higher state of consciousness, men wore pants, belts, shoes, and hats. Women wore dresses, head wraps, and hats. These are natural things that we wore in creation from beginning of time. It's how we move. It's how you knew who we was. It's how we grew. But now in this day and time, people getting dressed outside. No morality. Maybe butt naked, putting clothes on outside. You can get dressed inside and make sure you get your right clothes on and the gear and everything inside. You out outside dressing. So, why? You want to take a picture. But my point is saying that we're not focused on what it takes to really be responsible and hold ourselves responsible and reliable as adults, as human beings. So when you're walking around with your pants hanging off your behind and you think you're a man, know that you're not a man. You always will be less than a man, right? No, you can't be liberated like that, because liberation don't come from you being butt naked. Liberation comes from you as a people standing up for you as a people. That's the true liberation. Liberation comes with freedom, and it comes from a fight. It comes from people standing up for what they believe in. Liberation is a woman like Harriet Tubman, who wore combat boots, a long dress, and a head wrap. But she held a pistol and a gun to let you know, say, look, I'm fighting for the people. That was liberation. Our liberation didn't come from being butt naked and being like, you can see my everything and I'm who I am. It don't work that way. Liberation comes with responsibility, okay? Yeah, it comes with discipline. So we have to be liberated as a people and know we have to be disciplined within our mind. Liberation don't come being on drugs, okay? You have to have a sober mind to be a liberated mind, okay? And that's how they've been getting us over the years, because we've been tricked into their drugs, their alcohols, you understand, and all their chemicals. You understand? That's why we can't fully be liberated, because we lose our mind. First portion of liberation is the mind liberation. You have to liberate your mind. Liberate your mind from what? Slavery, okay? Because enough of us in the mind state of slavery. That's what Harriet said. What Harriet said? She said, I freed 1,000 slaves. I would have freed 1,000 more, only if they knew they were slaves. Right? The reality then is the same reality now 10 times fold, because no one know they're a slave. All of the black people in America, till you get your little stimulus check, comfortable getting something for nothing. Right? So if we comfortable getting something for nothing, and I come and say, look, come on, get up. Let's do something. I'm going to give you something, but you got to do something. I'm getting something for nothing. What am I going to do something for? I'm good. Yeah, because you're waiting on a STEMI and a little PPP loan and all these things here. But the reality is, when all that stuff stop and drop, you still got to be able to know how to get up and get something for yourself. And a lot of us been comfortable. Like right now, a lot of people are getting evicted. Why? Because they're comfortable getting something for nothing. If you ain't making no money paying no bills within a year, you should have mad money to spend after that year. But you got comfortable getting something for nothing, then you ain't want to even do nothing. So now when they ask for something, you can't give them nothing. Why? Because you ain't got comfortable getting something for nothing. So reality is, we got to stop this madness and realize in order to get something, you got to put some work into it. Yeah, we got to get back to working for ourselves, controlling our own destiny by building for ourselves, and stop being comfortable being these homegrown slaves. Because that's what's going on. We're in a homegrown slave mentality. And only way we can rise out of that, again, is to liberate the mind. So it's just a little inside reasoning, of I and I to the I, and just hoping to strengthen ones and let ones know a little more in detail about I and I's Rasta. But the reality is, we are all about man, woman, and child. The creation has always been set and never can be broken. Man, woman, and child. The Almighty created his man, his woman, and his child to make continuously loops on the earth. That's why we constantly know that there's no foolishness or no illusion which came first, the chicken or the egg. It had to be the chicken because the Almighty created the chicken, male and female, and that's what created the egg. So we know these things. There's no illusion, no confusion. Y'all stay strong and y'all stay tuned in. And this is what? Another episode of what? The Thank Champs. I love y'all. Peace and blessings.
Peace, peace, family. I'm Rebel with a Cause.
Yes, indeed. I'm Ross Isis.
And thanks for watching Thank Champs.
Yes, indeed. We appreciate y'all tuning in. And this episode was based upon Rasta liberty and culture, So we have to make sure we keep y'all posted more and more on the culture and life, because it's one history and one culture that we have, Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so like and subscribe, leave a comment. We love to hear from you.
For real. And also make sure, like I said, like and subscribe, because that's the main thing. We need y'all support. Let's get these numbers up, so we could be on one collective mind thought, And thank you, all right?
Yeah.
And this is what? The Thank Champs. Peace and blessings.
Us.